Hello, everyone. This is Pavna Thur, founder of Shenomics, a platform to help women lead from within. Today, we're having a very important discussion, 5 steps to finding your inner mentor with my dear friend, Megha Mehta. Megha is a health coach and energy medicine practitioner who works with women to help them find energy, balance, and nourishment. She started her company out of her home office, first in Singapore, and now she's in Bangalore. And she also released her first book, Find Your Rhythm, a few months ago, and it's been getting great reviews, so you should definitely check it out. Megha, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Bhavna. It's my pleasure.
Well, I'm so glad to be delving into this really important subject today with you, Megha, because as career women, as you know, we're always being told that there's so much value in having the right role models and mentors. And while I do believe there is huge value in having a mentor, what is equally important, and I'm sure you'll agree, is to realize the power uh, that we have to be our own mentor by recognizing the immense wisdom that lies within each and every one of us. And the more we learn to tap into that voice of wisdom, our own intuition, and our own sense of what feels right or wrong for us, the more we can begin to reclaim our own power and be the kind of woman we wish to be. So I'm really excited to be discussing this topic with you. So before we get into your steps to doing exactly that, finding your inner mentor, just help us set the context. Why is it so important for us to find that inner guidance or find our inner mentor?
I think what you said was so right about being able to find your own path. Basically, you want it to be so unique, so unique to you, so that you are actually completely in sync with your own truth. Because no matter what you do, if you're talking to your mentors, you're talking to people around you, you're always going to get opinions, advice, or things that are going to be colored by their own experiences. And if you want to create your own path, something that's going to make you feel content, then you got to do it by syncing to your own truth. And I think the only way you can do that is by accessing your intuition, which is why it's so important.
Absolutely. And what do you think happens if we don't access that inner guidance? Because so many of us, again, as you know, we're so left-brained, right? We're so used
Yeah,
to not really looking within us for answers, but looking outside of us most of the time.
yeah.
And so many of us have just become used to doing that to the point where we don't even realize
Hmm.
what we're missing, and it could be easy to continue living that way. So what do you think happens if we, let's say, we just continue down that path which we're familiar with?
I think what happens with a lot of women is that you feel really that gnawing sense of discontentment. It feels really like you're empty within, and I mean you might be doing all of those things that are kind of right by society standards, or really progressing in terms of your career, but there's something within you that feels empty. You don't feel content because somewhere along the line you've kind of ignored what your intuition is telling you, which is basically your inner voice that's trying to lead you to the contentment that you're going to feel if you listen to it. So when you ignore it, you feel empty. A lot of women also end up feeling very exhausted because they're trying to, make up for something that basically they're looking at the wrong problem. So, they might be trying to do more. If they're getting the sense of emptiness, they might be trying to overcompensate in, during their day, trying to do too much at work, not drawing their boundaries. All of those things happen when you don't respect your inner guidance or your intuition, and it can be quite dangerous because at the end of the day, you're doing all of this to be happy and to feel content, and if you don't feel that, then you're exhausted and you're lost.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you put it beautifully because so many of us sometimes do feel that discontentment or that sense of not fully being at peace, but we're not quite able to put our finger on it. We don't realize what exactly that is. And
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's about that discontentment comes from that disconnection with ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Absolutely. Totally agree.
Great. All right, so let's delve into your 5 steps to finding your inner mentor. Let's begin with step one.
Okay, so step one is to acknowledge your feelings. Now, I found that this is kind of the first block that everybody comes across because they have been told that they shouldn't be feeling a certain way. So, for example, if it's a boss, you're like, no, I don't want to be thinking about it that way. Or it is actually, it probably starts, in your childhood when you're told that if your parents are saying something or doing something, then you shouldn't be feeling a certain way about it. And because you feel guilty about feeling anything negative for that person, you kind of stop yourself from feeling it in the first place. And when you don't acknowledge your feelings about something, then you're necessarily creating a block to accessing your intuition and kind of stops that voice right there. So that's my step one.
Hmm. So we shouldn't. So every time we have the temptation to say "I don't know," we should
Yes.
actually um, actually really ask ourselves, what is it that we're feeling? Because we do know, right?
Yes.
It may be like you said. Maybe we're just not allowing ourselves to acknowledge it. So
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
acknowledging your feelings is step one. Excellent. Okay, step two.
Yes, yes. Just going back to that, yeah, that's so true. It's never that I don't know, you always know. It's just that you've kind of judged yourself for feeling something and then you've kind of blocked it, and that's why you're saying I don't know. So when you start to accept, which is step two, when you start to accept your feelings without judgment, you're always, always going to know what you feel about a certain thing, and you don't have to judge it. For example, even if you're feeling jealous about a colleague, about somebody around you, it's all right to accept that you're feeling that way. Because if you don't accept it, you're kind of creating the block that's going to make sure that you never get rid of that feeling. The only way out of it is through it. So just accept it.
Hmm. And that's a big one for a lot of us because we are so, I think we are our own worst critic.
Yes.
And we judge ourselves, we can judge ourselves fairly harshly at times. And I think to your point, if we stop doing that and just acknowledge at the end of the day we're human and we are going to experience the full range of human emotions,
Yes.
and the only way to move past them is to first acknowledge them, and then accept them.
Yes. Yes.
Great.
Absolutely.
Step three.
So, step three is to remember that your intuition is always, always with you. So, it's not something that only a few people are entitled to access. It's not something that only a Zen master can, make use of. It's your intuition, and every single person's intuition or inner guidance is always with them. And we tend to forget because we get so stressed out about something that we feel like we need to keep thinking about a certain problem to get the solution, or we worry too much about certain things, and we forget that there might be an easier, more intuitive solution to it. And only if we relax and remember that it's always there, only then can we access it. Only then do we remember that this is there for me and I can access it. So
Mm,
it's a really important step because yeah, we all forget.
right. But how for someone, as we were saying before, who's just not used to recognizing their intuition, how do you even know that it's there?
I guess the best way to do that is either to sit down with your journal or just sit down by yourself and think about one or two instances, maybe in your past, that you actually really knew that this is something that you need to do. Or maybe you had a very strong gut feeling about a particular decision. And in spite of what everybody else around you said, you just followed it. And now, when you look back at it, in hindsight, you know that that was the right thing for you. When you had a really strong gut feeling or an instinct that you followed and you knew that that was the right thing for you know that that was your intuition. You know that that was always there. It's just that, it's not that you had access to that. You just had access to it then because you weren't blocking it. You still have access to it now. All you need to do is remember and follow these steps.
Mm. And I think we can all think back to a time in our lives when we did go with that
Oh my God,
hunch
yes.
that we had or that gut feeling about something,
Yes.
and and we realized later on that by listening to that we actually did ourselves a great service because it did take us in the right direction. So I guess to go back and reconnect with that feeling that because we all know how that feels. I think we've all experienced that. So to remember that, I guess, is what your point is what brings us back um, to that journey. Okay, great. So moving on to step 4.
Okay, so step four is about getting out of your head and into your body. So I always say this to my clients, and when I speak to audiences as well, that we're all living from our head up. We've just gotten so used to thinking, to being overfed in our heads with all the media, that's around us, that we've become used to kind of having our whole presence only here, and the rest of our body is almost ignored. And that's sort of like the best tool that you have with you, the body, because it's such an awesome instrument for your intuition. And the best way to start accessing that is to just bring your awareness, out of your head and into your body. So you can do that during the day, anytime when you just pause for a second and you realize, or you just kind of acknowledge your body, or you start to feel, okay, yes, I have my feet here. This is how I'm feeling. This is how my body is right now. That's one way to kind of get out of your head and into your body and build awareness, build presence. That is what will lead you to your intuition. Of course, there's a few other ways that you can also get out of your head. Moving to music is a really good one because that immediately, movement of any kind immediately gets you out of your head. Um, you can also step out, go for a walk, maybe, or just spend some time in nature. Anything that helps you to get, out of that whole incessant thinking patterns and just, take a break from that.
Yeah, I love the idea of just yeah, stepping away from whatever it is that's consuming us because sometimes we just keep mulling and mulling over that same thing and it doesn't really lead us to any solution. And sometimes just like you said, just stepping away and just going for a short walk can do
Yes.
wonders and just clearing our heads and
Yes, yes. I think that totally stimulates creativity as well. I mean, you'll end up finding a very creative solution to your problem if you break the pattern by getting out, not doing the same things that you've been doing for the rest of the day.
right. Excellent. Okay, fifth and final step to finding your inner mentor or inner guidance.
Is to notice the ways in which your intuition is speaking to you. So, like I said before, it's not like your intuition is not already talking to you. Probably the volume is a little low. Probably you're very preoccupied with something that's going on. Or even possibly you've heard it, but you've kind of ignored it because your mind's voice kind of took over and you're like, oh, no, no, no. So it's not like it's not speaking to you. So it's really important for you to begin to notice the ways in which it's already speaking to you. And that happens by, like I said, when you follow the first four steps, it's going to be much easier for you to notice those instances where your intuition, it's a little thing. Maybe you're just getting out of the supermarket and then suddenly there'll be like this little voice which will say, oh, pick up that can of milk, because you've run out of it at home. And you just ignore it thinking that, oh, maybe my husband's already got it, and you leave, and then only to come back home and realize, oh, you actually have ran out of milk, and you should have just picked it up on the way out. It's those little things that your voice is already guiding you, and all you need to do is start to notice them, because by noticing them you will automatically increase the frequency of this whole thing, because you're bringing your awareness to it.
Mm, beautiful. Great. Well, all of this, I think these are very, very useful steps in finding that intuition and finding our own inner guidance, like you said. What would you say to women who, again, let's say who are not who are not used to doing this, to access or be are not as conversant with their own intuition or guidance, whatever you want to call it. And if there was just one small step that they could take to sort of begin that journey today, what is the easiest way for women to begin that? What's the smallest step people can take?
I think what I would really like to tell women, especially if you're really busy, if there's lots of things going on within your day, and you feel like, oh my God, where do I get started with all of this? You know, I've been thinking a certain way, and I feel like that's the only way for me to access my wisdom. If that's how you feel, then just begin by pausing maybe 2 or 3 times a day. It could be as little as 30 seconds, but just pause. I always say this, bring your mind home into your body. And even if you do that for 30 seconds a day, if you can do it for more than once a day, then that's great. But if you can't, then even once a day is really, really amazing. Just start to develop the muscle. It's something that's not going to come overnight. You just have to be a little bit patient with it. But it's a muscle that once you develop, you can really, really use for lots of things, and it's going to give you the strength that is something that you really want. So just begin by doing that for 30 seconds a day, just closing your eyes, or even with open eyes. Where is my mind right now? Can I bring it back into my body? How does it feel when my whole awareness is in my body? Just notice that a few times a day and you're set.
I like the analogy of thinking of it like a muscle. So the more we use it, the stronger it will become over time.
Yes.
And to the
With which you
point,
can lift really heavy weights once you have developed it.
yes. Okay, great. Well, thanks, Megha. This has been really, really useful. For all of you watching, if you'd like to learn more about Megha's work in this area, do check out her book and actually have a physical copy of it right here. Find Your Rhythm. Great book. And you can also check out her Facebook page, Find Your Rhythm. So great. And the book we can find on
Flipkart
Amazon
or Sun. Yeah.
as well as Flipkart. Excellent. Great. Well, thank you, Megha. It was really lovely having you.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.